Johannes Vermeer was a Dutch Baroque painter, renowned for his masterful use of light, colour and composition. Despite his relatively small body of work, fewer than 50 paintings, his paintings are celebrated for their exquisite detail, calmness and luminous quality. Vermeer specialised in domestic interior scenes, often depicting women engaged in everyday activities such as reading, writing or household chores. His work is characterized by a remarkable use of light, which he skillfully rendered to create a sense of realism and depth. His palette was limited but carefully balanced, emphasizing subtle color transitions and delicate tonal variations. In this video we will discuss 5 notable works by Vermeer. Girl with a Pearl Earring, 1664 to 1667. Joining Leonardo's Lady with an Ermine, Titian's Venus of Urbino, Ingres' Bather of Valpinçon, Vermeer's Girl with a Pearl Earring has become an iconic embodiment of feminine beauty. Lively, natural, infused with an implication of spontaneity and informality, with inferred movement, opened mouth and guileless direct gaze, this painting accords to modern standards of elegance and attractiveness. It came to be called the Dutch Mona Lisa, even before its acquisition by the Maurits Schuys in 1908, as it had been in a publicly accessible collection since 1881. Its powerful effect is achieved through remarkably restrained means. The use of modest colours, blue, pale yellow and muted earthy green, serves as a subtle backdrop to the young woman's face, which is painted with minimal volumetric shading. The face stands out against the dark background, resembling a shell-like wedge framed by a sweep of blue and a streak of white. Notably, the entire composition contains no straight lines. Although we see this as a portrait today, early viewers might have interpreted it differently. The Trony was a small painting of a character head or still life, showcasing the artist's technical skill and character portrayal, often kept in the studio as an example to show to patrons. The exaggerated size of the pearl also reflects Vermeer's tendency to modify reality to enhance the visual impact of his works. The Milkmaid, 1658 to 1659. There is an almost miraculous quality to the depiction of the milk's curling flow and the way the light speckles the grains on the loaves. This milkmaid is engaged in the activity of making bread pudding, a task emblematic of the Dutch virtues of frugality, practicality and competence. The presence of a broken window pane suggests modest household circumstances. The skirt is rendered in monochrome, layered with ultramarine tints, demonstrating the artist's mastery of subtle tonal variation. The stream of milk falls precisely below the vanishing point, which is positioned above the milkmaid's right wrist. The artist's craftsmanship is evident in the unusual shape of the table, which appears to have been purposefully chosen or constructed specifically for this composition. The figure's monumental presence is emphasized through detailed volumetric modelling, a low vantage point, and bold outlines. To enhance this effect, the artist removed certain elements, such as jugs on the rear wall and a basket of laundry on the floor, and replaced them with a foot warmer, heated by a lit coal. This small domestic object underscores the prominence of the milkmaid within the scene. The tiles at the base of the wall, produced in Delft and exported throughout Europe, are a point of regional pride. This painting was part of the renowned Six collection in Amsterdam, established by Jan VI in the 17th century. When the trustees sought to sell the Milkmaid, there was considerable debate in the Netherlands about preserving this masterpiece for the nation. Ultimately, it was acquired by the Rijksmuseum in 1908, securing its place in Dutch cultural heritage. Its widespread recognition, state ownership, and the sentimental appeal of its humble subject have elevated the Milkmaid to the status of a national icon. View of Delft, 1660 to 1661. This painting has come to symbolize Dutch town life during the Golden Age. While Vermeer is not primarily known as a townscape painter, despite the notable achievement of his View of Delft, there was at least one other street scene of this kind attributed to him, recorded in an auction catalogue from 1696, though it has since been lost. This particular work appears to be a response to Peter de Hooch's scenes set in streets and courtyards, which de Hooch had developed a year or two prior to the estimated date of this painting. In the late 1650s, de Hooch transitioned from a more relaxed style to a more precise technique that clearly defined figures, spaces and lighting in a highly realistic manner, an approach that garnered admiration from collectors and fellow painters alike. The view through the doorway into the external passage interrupts the otherwise predominantly flat line of the house facades. The receding diagonal formed by the dark street line connecting the passage's wall pierces the building fronts and extends into the inner courtyard beyond. The composition's framework of verticals, horizontals and colour blocks placed perpendicular to the canvas anticipates the abstraction later exemplified by Piet Mondrian by over 2 centuries. Although there is a significant temporal distance between their styles and conventions, both artists share a meticulous attention to the fundamental principles of composition. Much effort has been dedicated to pinpointing the location depicted in this scene. One suggestion is that the building on the right is the house of Vermeer's mother-in-law, Maria Thyns, which he and his family shared together. The Art of Painting, 1666 or 1668. Regarded as a masterpiece that encapsulates Vermeer's brilliance and exemplifies the nobility of art, The Art of Painting has captivated viewers for centuries. The artist is portrayed not as a mere craftsman, but as a gentleman dressed in elegant formal attire, seated at his easel within an idealized studio setting. Instead of depicting the cluttered reality of brushes, palettes, bottles, bags, tools, rulers, and rags typical of a workshop, Vermeer follows convention by portraying his artist in a purified space, free from the ordinary attributes of a working studio. Whether this depiction serves as an indirect self-portrait remains an open question. The female figure is identified as Clio, the muse of history. She holds what is presumed to be a volume of Thucydides' Greek history, a foundational figure in liberal arts. She wears a laurel crown symbolizing glory and carries a trumpet representing fame. On the table lies a mask. The laurel wreath has turned blue due to the fading of the yellow pigment originally used to create the green. Vermeer signed the painting on the map near Clio. Scholars have debated why Vermeer selected the grandest available map, with some suggesting it was simply the most impressive one he could access. The painting bears both a signature and a date, the latter of which has only recently been uncovered. Due to the deterioration of the inscription, it is uncertain whether the date reads MDKX Vius 1666 or MDCLX8 1668. This ambiguity raises the possibility that the work was completed in 1666 and later revised with the additional numerals added 2 years afterward. The Art of Painting was kept by Vermeer as a demonstration of his skill and remained in his possession during his lifetime. After his death, it belonged to his widow until financial difficulties forced her to sell it. The piece was later owned by the Czernin family in Austria until it was sold in 1940 by Count Eugen Czernin and his brother to Adolf Hitler, who intended it as the centerpiece of a planned art museum in Linz. Ownership subsequently transferred to the Austrian state in 1945, and in 1958 it became part of the collection at the Kunsthistorisches Museum in Vienna. Despite efforts by the Czernin family to reclaim the painting, courts have ruled that the museum holds the legal ownership of this renowned masterpiece. The Love Letter, 1669 to 1670. A maid delivers a letter to a seated lady wearing a fur-trimmed jacket with a citern in her lap. The lady looks concerned, but her servant does not, and we infer from this that perhaps the latter is aware that there is good news in the letter awaiting the lady. In the background is a letter panel, embossed and partially gilded, a common but costly wall decoration of the era. The contrast between the respectable parlour and a dirty, disordered anteroom suggests the theme of dark secrets and potential turmoil. Dark forms in the surrounding foreground work like a frame, directing the eye and heightening the concentrated drama as the illuminated centre. This style increases illusionism and gives us the sensation of looking into a dwelling place and spying on its inhabitants unaware. The Love Letter is a title applied by others, Paintings were not usually titled until the advent of the Salon exhibition in the 18th century. Before fixed titles became expected, descriptions of subjects and sizes sufficed to identify individual pictures. Aside from being confident that Vermeer's family called his studio scene the art of painting, we do not know of any other titles used by the artist.